Hey everyone, it's the Flying Pig here on Flying Pig United. Thanks for joining me. Chuck a like on this video. How's it going? It's the final day of the Premier League season. It's just finished. The results are in, and it's a bit of a shitter for Manchester United. We finished sixth in the league. It's not really good enough, is it? Something like 27 points behind Chelsea, who won the league and run away with it in the end. So it's not been a good Premier League campaign for Manchester United this season. Also, those bastard Scousers managed to drag themselves into the top four, didn't they? Didn't they? Oh no, not them back in the freaking European Premier competition. But there you go, they are. Fair play to them. They've done it. They've secured their contention in the Champions League next season. Fair play to them. But that is absolutely gashtastic. Arsenal have dropped out of the top four for the first time in something like 20 years, so they won't be happy. There's already a lot of talk about Arsene Wenger potentially going. They're in the FA Cup final, of course. Will that make much of a difference as to whether he stays or whether he goes? Nobody knows. We'll find out soon, though. We'll find out very soon. I personally think they'll probably stick with Arsene Wenger. I don't even think it's really his fault. I think the owners are not putting enough resources back into the club like a lot of the other top clubs are doing consistently. So they might spend the odd big amount of money on a player, but they don't really spend that sort of money that's required in this modern game to compete at the very top there. So it's no surprise that eventually they dropped out of the top four. And Man City, they beat Watford 5-0 today away from home. It's a crazy day of football, actually. Loads of goals scored. It's like everyone just thought, let's just bang them in today. Let's take the piss today. That's what happened. Man City beat Watford 5-0. I think Liverpool beat Middlesbrough. I think it was 3-0 in the end. And Spurs won 7-1 against Hull City as well. Harry Kane getting himself another hat-trick. The lad keeps on scoring. He's taken this season's golden boot in the Premier League. Fair play to him. He's only getting better, this lad. He is young. Shame he couldn't do it for England, though, in the last major competition. Absolute melter. But in the Premier League, for Spurs, he's a complete beast. And he's shown that again this season. Again taking the golden boot. He's done that 2 years in a row. And he's, how old is he? He's not even approaching the peak years of his, or the peak powers in terms of a footballer's career of somewhere between 28, 32, somewhere around that for a forward. So, he's got a bright future ahead of him, and to get the golden boot again in a very competitive league with the likes of Aguero, Lukaku, Costa, all these players breathing down your neck, it's a big achievement. The game today for Manchester United against Crystal Palace, I thought it was going to be a draw. We are Dorchester United after all. We've drawn so many games this season, and with the need to rest players for the Europa League final on Wednesday night, I really thought we were going to get exploited by Crystal Palace today. But it wasn't to be the case, really. We dominated the game. We took it to Big Sam. And the youth that Jose Mourinho has put in there, he's given 4 first-team debuts to some young lads today. And the lads he's put in there performed absolutely brilliantly. And that is just demonstrated by Harrop getting that wonderful goal. What a bit of skill that was. Great run, and for a moment I thought it was Sergio Aguero, the way he's just wafted into that space there, dribbled the ball into a dangerous area, opened his body up, and smashed it straight past the keeper into the top right-hand corner. That was an absolutely brilliant goal from him. What a way to introduce yourself, though, to the first team. That is brilliant. So stunning performance from him, and then a couple of minutes later, Paul Pogba, on the other end of the spectrum, the £89 million man, got one in the back of the net for us with a good finish as well. So fair play to him. So in terms of the game today against Crystal Palace, it meant absolutely nothing. Nobody cares about this game, really. It meant nothing. We're finishing 6th regardless. But it's nice to win the game. And it's also nice to see these youth players come in there and start a big game in the Premier League and play well as well. Angel Gomez made his appearance. There's been lots of talk about him becoming the youngest player to feature in the Premier League or for Manchester United. Or maybe even in the Premier League, I think it was actually the youngest player ever to feature in the Premier League, 16 years of age. And there's a lot of hype about this lad. And also, I think he's the youngest, or he's the first player who was born after 2000 to feature in the Premier League. So the first player who was born in the 21st century to play in the Premier League. Doesn't that just make you feel old, lads and lasses? Unless you're like 12 years old watching this, in which case you're a jammy bastard. But I myself, I'm approaching 30. So to me, that just seems unbelievable that there's some kiddie called Angels playing at 16 years of age in the Premier League. That's depressing. But fair play to him. Lots of things to come from him, I'm sure. The actual game against Crystal Palace today, it was decent from United. We dominated play, really. They didn't really have much of a sniff. Second half, was drab. It was dire. It wasn't as good as the first half. Not as much created from us, but still got the job done. That's a win for Jose Mourinho on the last day of the season. It's just depressing to me where we finished in the league. Like I say, 27 points behind Chelsea, who've won it, and we are 6th. That is not a good season for United by any stretch of the imagination. But we've won the League Cup, we won the Community Shield, we are in the Europa League final. As long as we go on and win the Europa League final, then it would be a decent season. It would be a good season. It would be a much better season than Arsenal, who were finished 5th and definitely don't have Champions League football next season. Have some of that, Gooners, eh? Always giving it the big one. Well, it's your turn. It's your turn to feel the pain of Thursday night football. In the Europa League there. So they'll be playing in the Europa League next season. Oh God, I hope that we do beat Ajax now after that, because, it could backfire. But, yeah, I mean, I'm confident going into this game against Ajax. I think United should be beating them. It's the final. It's all built up to this. It is make or break for Manchester United. We've got to win it. We absolutely have to win it. Imagine just not winning that game against Ajax. If we somehow lose, go out on penalties, any scenario, how bad would that be? You'd never hear the end of it from these Scousers who've qualified for the Champions League. You never hear the end of it from them. So let's just hope that that doesn't happen. Let's hope that we do win the Europa League. But Arsenal fans, they must be absolutely hating it because they are 5th. They've got no hope of potentially winning the Europa League to qualify. They haven't got that. They can win the FA Cup. That's about the best they can do. But they don't have Champions League football next season. Spurs, for instance. Spurs have Champions League football. They've taken Chelsea pretty much all the way to the end there. They've looked a really, really good, consistent side. Very exciting. Some of the youth players they got there, excellent. Only going to be getting better. But still, if you look at it, on the face of it, if Manchester United win the Europa League, what would you rather? Finish 2nd with no trophies, or finish 6th, have the same prize, which is qualification for the Champions League, but you've also won the League Cup, and you have also won the Europa League, which gets you into the Super Cup, which is another chance for a bit of silverware. So come on United, it's all about this game on Wednesday night. If we can beat Ajax, then we've had pretty much the 2nd best season, I would say, in the Premier League overall in terms of the silverware that we've won and what we've got at the end of it. And you have to remember, this is a transitional period for Jose Mourinho. This is a time where he's had to come in, he's had to steady the ship, he's had to change the way we played to a certain extent. People say, oh, well, he's way defensive, parks the bus every game. It's not really true, is it? I mean, I was saying in my previous video, up to halfway in the Premier League season this year, Manchester United had twice the amount of shots on goal at Old Trafford compared to Louis van Gaal's side. Well, that tells you a serious story there, which is that he has tried to get us playing a bit more fluid. He has tried to get us playing a bit more attacking. The goals this season, we've not scored a tremendous amount of goals, but a lot of them have come from Zlatan Ibrahimovic. What an unbelievable signing that was. Could we have signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic if we did not have Jose Mourinho at the club? Because he's that sort of manager. He's worked with him previously at Inter, one of the best managers in the world. We didn't have Champions League football, so, to sign those sorts of players and get them to come in and do a job like that on a free transfer is a masterstroke. Pogba's not worked out this season to the level that we'd hoped, but then saying that, it's only really the price tag that has put the expectation levels through the roof, which is, it's understandable, but it's not his fault. He's still young. He's still one of the best midfielders in Europe. Maybe he just hasn't shown that on a consistent basis this season, but he's got a big future ahead of him at Manchester United. So that's another one of Jose's signings, and I just think he's done a good job, even though we finished 6th in the league, which admittedly is absolutely gashtastic, lads and lasses. He still won us the League Cup, the first available bit of silverware this season, easily. And he still got us through to the Europa League final to hopefully secure our place in the Champions League next year. So if you just look at the facts and don't think about how many games we drew against shit teams this season and how disappointed we were and how many great opportunities and chances we put down the 20. If you don't think about any of those, then it's actually been a pretty decent season in terms of the facts, which is won a couple of cups, and you've got Champions League football next year. So, in a transitional period for Jose Mourinho, I'm pretty much satisfied. I'm happy with what he's done at the club. I think United have looked better overall. I think the last half of the season for United has not been great in terms of the style of play we've put out there consistently, but there was a spell in the middle of the season where United really were playing some nice football and playing some nice attacking football and winning a good amount of games. We went on a big unbeaten run. Don't really care about that. I'd rather win 23 games and lose 2 than draw 17 and win 8. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm not too bothered about the unbeaten run, but it does show that he's steadying the ship there. We're getting better defensively, as you'd expect from a Jose Mourinho side. Always good, solid defensive sides. And you wouldn't expect us to go out there and score a ridiculous amount of goals. We're in transition here. You know, if not for Zlatan, it would have been even lower. So I think Jose squeezed about as much juice out of this Manchester United side as he could have done in terms of getting the silverware and also getting us to the Europa League final to get Champions League football. He's got a lot of time and he's got a lot of money that he can play with in the summer to bring in some top quality players. You know, there's talk about a lot of players going. There's even talk about David De Gea going. That would be a huge blow if David De Gea goes. But there's there's players to come in there. You know, we can go out there. We can sign the likes of Lukaku or Griezmann, these sorts of players, as long as we've got Champions League football to offer them next season. So I don't think United are necessarily going to go out there and sign these marquee signings before we've actually got Champions League football. So we need to win that Europa League on Wednesday night, and then once we've done that, it should be, there should be some tasty transfers coming in the summer because Jose's in charge. We are the biggest club in terms of history and tradition in the world. People want to come and play at Old Trafford. It's a huge draw. The only thing that was letting us down over the last couple of years is the inconsistency with the managers, the shit managers that we've had at the club, and also not having Champions League football on a consistent basis. So if you've got one of the best managers in the world, at one of the best clubs in the world, with Champions League football, then United are going to be able to sign the best players in the world. And we're not afraid to do that. We've shown that in the last year or two. We gave Louis van Gaal a lot of money. David Moyes only signed Fellaini. We said, no, you cannot spend any of our money, David, because you're an absolute ginger goblin. You're just going to waste it, which I think is the right decision in the end. And Louis van Gaal spent a lot of money. Jose Mourinho spent a fair bit of money, but still, he's got a lot more to spend to stamp his mark on this United side. It's still not Jose Mourinho's side, remember. He's still having to put up with the stench of the Louis van Gaal days with some of the players in the squad there, and also the David Moyes days, the Fellaini's, etc. Although I do think Jose Mourinho and Marianne Fellaini have a special relationship going on there behind the scenes. I don't know, I think he's notching them off or something. But don't know why he selects him so often. But saying that, whatever he's doing, the massages he's giving him are helping Fellaini on the pitch, because I think out of all the managers that Fellaini's played for, Jose has got the best out of him, which I think shows you Jose's ability to man-manage and also just to use players, utilise their skills in certain games. He's done that a lot of times with Fellaini. Some games Fellaini's playing up top as a big target man. Other games he's been sort of a sweeper in front of the, the back line, or an anchor man, if you will. So, I think Jose Mourinho's done very well considering the tools he's got at his disposal this season. As long as we win the Europa League, it's happy days. And I do think we're going to do that. Ajax are a good side. You can't take them lightly. Very good. And they will cause us problems. But we should have way more on the pitch out there to get the job done. Paul Pogba costs more than their entire freaking team. Do you know what I mean? Money doesn't win your games, but it should freaking do, shouldn't it, at this level? So, that pretty much does it for my chat about the Premier League. It's been a bit of a shit campaign for us. 6th we finished. We're not happy with that. But next year will be a lot better. As long as we can get the Europa League final in the bag, then next season we are going to be challenging on all fronts, I believe, with the setup we've got and the quality players that are going to be coming in there. So, the future's bright for Manchester United. We've just got to put this season behind us and look to next year, and hopefully we do win that Wednesday and get the Champions League qualification. That is what it is all about, lads and lasses. Right, let's have a look at some of your comments anyway. Thank you very much for joining me on this sunny Sunday afternoon. It is great day to end the Premier League. Unfortunately, like I said, those bloody Scousers have managed to get themselves in the top 4. So, that's not good. So, all those teams in Europe, Champions League, Barcelona's, the Real Madrid, Madrid, Barcelona's, these cities, make sure you're keeping an eye on your car's wheels when Liverpool are in town playing next season, because their fans are robbing scum. Anyway, right, let's have a look. Kyle Fury says, Pig, how does it feel to see John Terry lift the trophy? It feels absolutely horrendous, Kyle. It does. I hate that bloke with a passion. He's pure scum. But you have to admire him as a footballer. He's a very tenacious defender, very brave defender, and he's a very good defender as well. Even still, obviously, he's not been in Conte's plans this season. He's gone for a different option. But I think John Terry, for his contribution to Chelsea over the years, he deserves that, As much as I hate to say that, and he's a complete scumbag, he deserves to lift that Premier League trophy. He's put his life, blood, sweat and tears into Chelsea, when he's not been out knobbing his mates' teammates anyway. teammates' wives. That's what I meant to say. But when he's not been out knobbing them, he's been putting in 110% for Chelsea. So fair play to him. He's complete scum. Let's see what he does now. There's talk of him maybe going to Bournemouth or something. I think that'd be a good signing for them. Or maybe he'll retire. Who knows? Probably retiring would be the best option for us anyway, to get that wanker out the game. But let's have a look. Kumaran Silva Kumar says, hopefully we can win the Premier League next season. Hopefully we can. That's the thing. This was always going to be one of those seasons where it's going to be difficult for United to really plough on and win it. I know Conte came in at Chelsea and just turned them right around. I mean, they finished even lower than us last season. But they had the players there. It just wasn't working for them with Jose last season. He lost the dressing room, whatever you want to say. I just think those bunch of players there, they're a complete prima donna scum. They are. Chelsea's players are scum. And, if they don't want to play, then they're not going to. And the moment Jose left, they started playing and they started looking good again. So it just goes to show you the character of those wanky players in that side. Similar thing with Leicester this season. But yeah, I think United have got a really good chance next season of challenging for the Premier League trophy. It won't be easy. All of the other teams out there who have qualified for Champions League and are up there at the moment are going to be out there signing players in the summer too. Who's going to sign the best players? Who's going to have the biggest impacts? It all matters, and it all, is hard to predict really. You could get an injury, There's a lot of factors that goes into whether or not you can challenge for the Premier League trophy. I think Spurs are going to be up there next season, just even if they don't sign any players, because they've got a really good squad. A lot of them are young. They're only getting better. So it's going to be difficult for Manchester United. But I think, based on what we've seen this season, we have improved a little bit. I know that we haven't in terms of the league position, but we have improved in terms of getting to finals, winning games when we need to, and just looking a bit more consistent and a lot more solid at the back as well. So I think if Jose goes and signs a couple of really good players in the summer, gets rid of a few lemons as well, then Manchester United, there's no reason we cannot challenge for the Premier League trophy next year. And Hale, Spurs are getting raided next season if they don't win anything. Players will leave. I'd like to think you're right there. I would. If David De Gea went to Real, I'd like to think Manchester United could go and raid Hugo Lloris. But I think at this moment in time, if Pochettino stays, there's no reason for them to go anywhere, because they're getting a new stadium, they're growing in terms of stature, their players are improving as they age. They're a young side, I think one of the youngest in the Premier League. And if you look at the likes of Dele Alli and Harry Kane, Danny Rose, Kyle Walker, who may potentially be leaving, but those sorts of players, Christian Eriksen, they're very solid players, and they're only going one way, which is getting better. So you better watch out for Spurs next year. There's a potential for Pochettino maybe moving on in the summer if somebody like a Barcelona came knocking for him. If that would happen, then that blows everything wide open. There's also talk of Koeman going from Everton to Barcelona. So who knows what's going to happen. We'll have to see what happens at the end of the transfer window. Magnus Eriksson says, please, for God's sake, we cannot be crybabies about the fixture list next season. Well, yeah, that's the name of the game. I totally agree. That's what it is. We've got to battle on all fronts, and it's not easy. I think the Europa League really doesn't help, but I think we can't blame the fixture list. Totally agree. We've just got to win all the games that we can. All the other teams at the top have to deal with the same sorts of issues. So it's a load of bollocks, that thing, anyway. Marsman says, do you think Rooney will go to the Chinese league? That may be the last we've seen of Wayne Rooney. Maybe he'll feature in the Europa League final, not sure yet. But that may be the last we've seen of Wayne Rooney. And what a servant he's been to the club. Unbelievable. He scored a ridiculous amount of goals, 260 odd, whatever it is, to have the all-time record for goals scored for Manchester United. What a record that is. Any young lad up and down the country would dreams of having that record one day. And Wayne Rooney is the man to do that, breaking Bobby Charlton's record, of course, which stood for a very long time. Unbelievable achievement. But yeah, I think it's time the man went and became a spokesperson for Pucker Pies or something, He's served Manchester United well, but it's time to move on. To the Chinese Super League, I don't know. I don't think that's the best option for him. It may be the best option in terms of financial gains, but I don't think it's a good option for him and his family. He could go and he could play for Everton, or he could go into the MLS. The MLS, you'd probably get a couple 100,000 a week for somebody of that stature. Maybe Everton wouldn't pay him anywhere near that amount for a squad player, which is what I'd think he'd effectively be at Everton if he was to go there. So maybe that's a less likely option. But I think that MLS is probably the strongest option for him. He could go to one of the New York sides. It's only an 8-hour flight from back to freaking Merseyside or wherever he'll be living, after leaving Manchester United, of course. So who knows? But yeah, I think he's been a great... I'm having a heart attack. No, I think he's been a great talent over the years. Imagine if I did just do that right now. I just conked out right here live on screen. What would you do? Should somebody call the cops, say, hey, Flying Pig's just had a heart attack? Who's that? Do you know his real name? No. Oh, you're just going to have to watch him die then. But anyway, I think if Wayne Rooney stayed in the Premier League, he could do a good job for Everton. He really could. As a squad player, you know, he's ageing. He's not as good as he used to be. Injuries may become an issue. Fitness may become an issue. That sort of thing. But I think he's still got a season at the top flight in the Premier League to give a team something special. He's a good talent on this day, no doubt about it. But if I'm him, if I'm his family, I'm probably thinking, let's get on a flight to America, whether it be LA Galaxy or one of the New York sides. I think do really well. Alex Rincon in the house just super chatted me $2. You absolute freaking legend. Thank you very much, Alex, for doing that. You're such a hero, and you're a personal hero of mine. He said, how about that Mitchell and Gomez kid? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We've got some good youthful players coming through the side. Angel Gomez, I mean, I haven't seen a great deal of him, but I've heard a heck of a lot about him. At 16 years of age, potentially, he could be one of these great young talents to break through, like a Marcus Rashford, next season. So let's see what we can do with him. He could even be better. You know, 16 years of age making your Premier League debut, that is an unbelievable statistic, really, an unbelievable achievement to be able to do that. So I know it's the sort of last game and we've just chucked these players in there because we're resting players for the Europa League, but even so, great experience for them. And like that Harrop lad, you know, grasped the opportunity with both hands and really put in a good performance. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited about the prospects of United's youth team. I never think we should leave that. United have always produced great youth talents, the class of 92, and back in the day, of course, Busby Babes and all that sort of thing. So we should never stop doing that. Jose Mourinho is not really known for bringing through youth. He's more about going out there and buying marquee players, you know, at the latter end of their career when they're at the peak of their powers. But we need to maintain that. We need to have a good mix at Manchester United. Still bring players through and also still sign big players that are going to have big impacts and improve our side right away. Because we need to do that. We can't do an Arsenal effectively a few years back or, you know, and just bring youth through and just hope one day they're all going to gel and click. But we still need to do that to some extent. So have a look at some more comments before we wrap this up. God, I've been speaking for 22 minutes here. I must like the sound of my own voice or something. But let's have a look. Yeah, Shane says Liverpool will bottle it in the playoffs. What playoffs are we talking about here? Playoffs to get into the Champions League at the start of next season. Do they still do that? Where the fourth team has to qualify against, you know, Genk or someone? Yeah, so yeah, I hope they do. That would be amazing if they did. Kumar and Silva Kumar, he asked again, imagine if Chelsea finished 10th again next season. That's not going to happen, is it? They look like an absolute machine. But you never know. Stranger things have happened indeed. Anne Murphy, thanks for joining me. Anne says United can break new records next season with 38 draws. Oh, dirty. Yeah, I mean, it's on the cards, isn't it? We could go and Mark Hughes it 100% and just draw every single game. Maybe we should get Mark Hughes as our manager. SG Legend says, who the hell is Alex Rincon? I'll tell you exactly who he is, SG Legend. He's a legend, much like yourself. Maybe even a bigger legend. Alex Rincon, a legend. Yeah, he's explained to you himself. So there we have it. I'm pretty much going to leave it there. But yeah, in terms of the future of Manchester United, the likes of Twanzebe, Gomez, these players that we saw today, Rashford, Martial still very, very young. The future's bright for Manchester United. They're only going to be getting better. So I think next season we're going to add a couple of top quality players to that, and the other players are going to have progressed having played this season. And United are going to be in a much better position than we were this year to really challenge on all fronts. And that means really putting in a good campaign in the Champions League, which we still need to qualify for, and also really challenging for that Premier League trophy. Because I think most Manchester United fans, and you know, me personally as an Englishman, to win the Premier League, that is the biggest achievement you can get. So Chelsea have won it. They haven't won the Champions League, but they've won the Premier League. And that's absolutely epic. That means you're the most consistent team in England over 38 games. That's brilliant. You are the best team in the country. So to me, that is always going to be the number one priority. But maybe in this day and age, it is a little bit more prestigious to win the Champions League and obviously extra money. So, yeah, but as long as we put in a good Premier League campaign next year, certainly better than this year's, and challenge for the trophy, then I'll be happy. Even if we go out in the Champions League quarters or something, as long as we are challenging till the end for the Premier League trophy, I'll be happy with that. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, but thank you very much for tuning in to this match reaction for the Crystal Palace game, and also just what has been a little roundup of the final day of the Premier League. All you legends who have joined me today and commented and got your thoughts and opinions in, thank you so much for tuning in and getting your comments in. Sorry if I've missed any out, but do really appreciate you doing it. Make sure you come back actually after this video has been published in a few minutes, so you can get your comments in permanently. That way I can read them and respond to them, and so can everybody else. But for now, I just want to say thanks for tuning into these videos this season and interacting with me. It means a lot. I really enjoyed doing this and getting my thoughts and opinions out there about Manchester United and football in general, and also reading all of you guys' opinions, which always makes me chuckle. So thank you very much for doing that this season. Things aren't going to end. There's going to be lots coming over the summer. Transfer speculation, ins and outs, gossip, football, transfer news, all that sorts of stuff. So there's going to be loads of stuff coming on the channel over the summer, even though the Premier League has finished. And of course, we've got that Europa League game Wednesday night against that cleaning product Ajax, of course, Wednesday night. What am I on about? But Ajax on Wednesday night. So I'll be doing a live stream match companion for that one 100%. So if you're around, if you want to join me on Wednesday night for a bit of a live match commentary, come back on the channel then, and I'll see you for that. But thank you very much for tuning in today. Chuck a massive like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. Come back in a few minutes, get your comments and opinions in, and I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for tuning in. Come on, United. This is the Pig. Take it easy.